Okay, welcome into PrepXtra Live, the post-game show, semifinals edition. Rough night for most of the Valley and the Whittier area as far as the teams that we had left in these semifinals trying to punch their tickets to next week's championship games. We're hoping to be able to go to Fred Robledo via telephone. He was out at the Centennial Bishop Amat game tonight in Corona, and we'll see if we can get him on the line to talk about what happened to Bishop Amat. The score, I'm sure most of you have seen it by now, 38-37. Corona Centennial beats Bishop Amat in the Pac-5 semifinals. They are going to move on to play, it looks like St. John Bosco in the championship game next week at Anaheim Stadium. Now, this was an interesting game. Obviously, I wasn't there tonight, but Bishop Amat, strangely enough, they were down 38-24 in this game and rallied back. Now, hang on, everybody. Just one sec here. Hey, did you get my text? Okay, you ready? Can you go now? Okay, very good. Thanks, Coach. Okay, so we have a very special guest now joining us. I didn't want to announce this because I didn't know if he would be calling me back. But the one team that did come through tonight, as far as the Valley is concerned, of the Tribune teams, Los Altos, big win tonight over Bonita, 27-13. The Conquerors are in the finals of the Central Division next Saturday. They will host Colony. And we have on the line Coach Zola. Coach Zola, congratulations.
Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Coach, take us through this game tonight. I mean, it looked, to be, close for a while. And then, it seemed like, I was at the Charter Oak game. The updates I was getting was, Los Altos just kind of, pulled away. You guys just kind of took over this thing and put the clamps on Bonita, especially defensively.
It was a tight game. Bonita is extremely tough. They're well coached. Coach Madrano and Coach Medina do a great job over there. And playing at home, they're really, really tough. I know in my tenure at Los Altos High School as a head coach, as an assistant coach, being associated with the program in any way, shape, or form, we haven't won there in a long time. And haven't even needed a period in a long time. They're a very scrappy bunch. They're well coached. And it was back and forth. We scored first with 3 points, and they answered, and we blocked the PAT, and we got one before halftime, and we came out to start the second half, and we didn't go anywhere, gave the ball back to them, and they were right down the field, and they were actually up 13-10, and we were just able to lean on them a little bit more and put the game away. Tyler Neverns had a great night once again. The kids they've played phenomenal football for the last 8 weeks. They've been at a low point when we were 2-4, and they really leaned on each other, and it's fabulous to see the kids come together the way they have. And you talk about football as a metaphor for life and being a team and a family and a brotherhood, and I truly believe we are seeing that to the fullest degree at this time of the year for us.
Okay, we are joined right now by Los Altos coach Dale Zola. Coach Zola has done an unbelievable job with this Los Altos program. He now has them in the championship game of the Central Division. That'll be coming up next Saturday. Coach, you know the storied, tradition of Los Altos. You know all the championships that they've won. How could you not? But when you took over this program, they were really, really on hard times, and some would say pretty much a flat line. I know you've been asked this question a lot. Can you, I know you probably don't have all night to talk about it, but can you sum up how you were able to turn this thing around? I think you've been there 4 years?
4 years, yes.
4 years. You've gone from taking this program that I think was winless or 1-9, 2 or 3 years there, to a championship game appearance now in the Central Division. How have you been able to turn this around?
I have a lot of good help. The administration, first, they trusted me, and they've been supportive from the get-go. I got good assistant coaches. We've leaned on some guys from the past. There's some of our lower-level coaches played at Los Altos, played for Spain. my defense coordinator and strength coach for up until this year. He played for Gano and was a great guy, and he still helps us out as best he can from where he's at in South Dakota. And we tried to draw on the pass as best we can and bring it into the situation we're in, and really tried our best to instill hard work. You know, football is that metaphor for life. And this year we got the kids who I don't know if they believed us in weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, but they certainly bought in, and it's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, and Coach, jumping back to this season now, you know, I asked you after the South Hills win, you know, is it the desperation that brings out the best in these guys? Obviously, in the playoffs, you know, it's win or go home. And they haven't wanted to go home, obviously. And before that, you know, when things had I remember vividly somebody telling me that you were not too happy after the West Covina loss going back to league play. And, you know, that was a game that was the week after you had beaten Charter Oak. You go to West Covina, you get shut out, and now it looks like you're not going to make the playoffs. You needed to win the last 2 weeks of the season and, you know, a couple other things to happen. You did that. You go in as a third-place team, and, again, the desperation, you know, that this team has had over its last 5 games, is that what's bringing out the best of them?
It could be. It could be. I think it's one of those things you can't necessarily put your finger on. It could be that. It could just be timing. Maybe this group of guys just needed that much time in the oven to finally get cooked right and figure it out. But we've been able to limit mistakes, and it's certainly been a process this year. At times, it's been excruciatingly painful. But you know, they say that that's what makes families real stronger is fighting and having to fight, whether it's with each other, against each other, or for each other. I think it's brought us together through those hard times. Some selfish mistakes. We had some selfish moments in the early part of the season, some silly mistakes, and these guys are really having fun with each other. And you know, it's been a long season. You know, with our school year at HOP USD, we started school on August 7th or something like that, or August 4th. So the kids have been in pads since August 1st. And this day and age of high school sports, it's a year-round deal. It almost seems like there's no break, and these kids, they don't want to stop. They don't want to stop. They come to practice every day happy. You know, I've been on coach teams where those kids got to the playoffs. I'm like, God, man, more practice. We got to hit each other some more. And it's tough. It's a physical, a very exhausting game, and it can be tough to keep the right mindset all the way through. And these guys, whatever it is, they have it, and they have it with each other, and it's cool to see.
Hey, Coach, when you get to a point like this, you know, at a program like Los Altos, in the season where you're in the semifinals, you're needing a win to get to the championship game, and now you're in the championship game, does a lot of the program's past and the history kind of take over, you know, for itself there? I mean, in the sense that, you know, you get guys, you know, who I don't know if you saw on the blog this week, you know, we were posting pics of former, you know, championship teams, and we have one up of the Sean Cody, Felipe Aguilar team from 1999. You know, these guys start coming back around, and, you know, I know at Los Altos the crowd can really swell, especially when the team's deep in the playoffs. Can you talk about that aspect of it? I mean, what's it been like? Have there been a lot of the old guys, you know, that were on all these championship teams coming back around and really trying to push this team to a championship?
There have been. There were some guys out at Thanksgiving practice. You know, even guys from the last 3 years we've had. A lot of kids that played in 2011, 2012, 2013, and they're excited to see guys that they had that were freshmen and sophomores when they were seniors. You know, they were excited to see them just get past the second round. They were part of those teams that got to the second round the last couple of years, and they were excited to see their brothers go a step further. We had some older guys out of Thanksgiving practice. I know Sean Cody was at the game tonight, along with a bunch of other alumni on Letterman jackets, all over the field afterwards. The crowd was amazing. I can't believe Bonita was Glenn Davis Stadium, or that place was rocking. It was rocking. There was red, white, and blue everywhere. Our crowd, our student section, the alumni, the parents, they've been fabulous, man. There was one point during the game, I'm like, gosh, I can't even hear these guys on the headset because the crowd was so loud.
Awesome.
Almost had to turn around and ask our own fans to be quiet. They were great. They were great.
Wow. Now, Coach, you're set to host this championship game next Saturday. Are you going to plan on playing it at your field or maybe moving it?
You know what? I don't know what's going on with that yet. I'm still waiting to hear from the AD, and I know that stuff will probably be in discussion throughout the weekend.
Okay, but for the time being, it is your home game.
Los Altos, we are the home team. I just don't know where our home is.
Right. Well, hey, that's great to hear that Sean Cody was there tonight, and along with, I'm sure quite a few others. And, next week in the championship, I would imagine you're going to get the same type deal, which is just awesome. A storied program that was pretty much down and out until Coach Dale Zola took over, and he has produced one of the best turnarounds you could ever witness, considering where Los Altos was, just 5 years ago. Here they are, back in the championships again, and we'll see what happens Saturday. Coach, congratulations again, and thanks for calling in, and we appreciate it, and good luck, and be expecting me to be bugging you quite a bit this coming week.
Alrighty, Aaron, you're too kind. I really appreciate it, and I gotta go buy these assistant coaches of mine some dessert.
Yeah, definitely get Coach Burke in there.
I will.
All right.
You guys have a good night.
Appreciate it, Coach. Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, so that was Coach Dale Zola of Los Altos. Boy, what can you say? You talk about Tyler Nevins. He went for 296 yards, tonight in the win over Bonita in the semifinals. 296 yards and I think 3 touchdowns. Now, this was a kid who was on last year's freshman team, I want to say. And what a job, he did. But you wonder, if is this the kind of kid, if Zola wasn't there and they weren't having this kind of success, that would have even played to begin with at Los Altos? Because I know that a lot of kids left the program. I mean, we can go back to Sal Velasquez, who played at Bishop Amat. He was a freshman at Los Altos, and he left the program. There were some other ones that did as well. Zola is keeping the kids that are coming up through that youth football program, that Pop Warner program in the area. He's keeping them at Los Altos. Nevins being a perfect example, and you see now, that kid for the next couple of years, forget about, just what he's done in the playoffs or late this season. Look how bright the future is with him in there. And if they keep, kids around and, that area has some good players to pull from, anything's possible. So congratulations. That looks like the lone bright spot tonight, as far as the tried and true Valley teams are concerned, is Los Altos' win over Bonita, and Los Altos is going to host next week Colony. We don't know the site yet. It is Los Altos' home game. Who knows if they'll move the game, but it is their game. Congratulations to them. Like we've already talked about, Bishop Amat, tough loss tonight to Corona Centennial, 38-37. The game I was at tonight, Charter Oak lost to Colony, and boy, you talk about the wrong time to have a nightmare game, and it was tonight for Charter Oak. 8 turnovers, count them, folks, 8 turnovers against Colony. You can't win like that in the semifinals. They lose the game 35-26. Here's the thing. Charter Oak led at halftime 17-15 despite turning it over 5 times in the first half. Okay, here we go. This is Fred Robledo calling now, and we're going to be able to get some updates on the Amat situation from him now. Freddie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Very good. Thank you. And Steve Ramirez has just rolled in. Okay, everybody. Fred Robledo, as promised, calling in. He was at Corona Centennial tonight, where Bishop Amat suffered a 38-37 loss to Centennial. Great season by the Lancers. Team put the program back on the map as far as SoCal is concerned, and a tough way to lose it tonight. Freddie, I would like you to start from the top, and this is where I consider the top. I saw your tweet that Amat was down 38-24 in the fourth quarter. Next thing I know, I'm looking at tweets as I'm driving. They're lining up to go for 2 to maybe win the game. Take us through that from 38-24 on.
Well, it was pretty incredible. They were down 17 points early. In the second half, they fell behind 38-24, and right of release, he finished with 411 yards. Him and Brendan Arcanato hooked up tonight. They did an incredible job, but here it is. They made it 38-31 with about 3 minutes to go, and Corona Centennial is, they get a first down late. They're about to ice the game. The game is over. I sent out my last tweet that was just about do it. It was just over a minute to go. They fumbled inches from the goal line, and Amat recovers it. They're on their own 3, but just over a minute left. And here comes release, leading them down the field. He throws a touchdown pass to Arcanato. I believe there's 32 seconds left. So Amat's in that decision. They got all the momentum in the world, and I completely agree with Steve Haggerty. In that moment, they're going to go for the game winner and go for 2. They 2 timeouts were called. They gave it to Christian Wiley, and I swear he came up just inches short. It was their offensive line against their defensive line. They were pushing, and he just came up here. I was looking at Tommy Kitt's tape because they're looking at it afterwards. He came up just inches short. It was an incredible, dramatic end. The game should have been over. Centennial should have iced it. They got their life back. And doggone it, they nearly punched their ticket to the final for the first time since '95, but they didn't get it.
Wow, Freddie. And now they had a chance for an onside kick right after that to
Yeah, it was a desperation.
I know you're dreaming at that point, but,
And they didn't get it. At that point, I think it was the miracle of miracles at that point of the game. It was just one of those games that just went back and forth. Just when it looked like Centennial was going to run away with it, Amat would do something just, to keep themselves back in it with a big play. And they came back all night. And that last minute, to get that fumble and go 97 yards, I think they were 97 yards in about 49 seconds, something like that. And then you got to give Haggerty credit. I mean, his quote was, we thought we would go for the win and not get to the overtime thing. If someone told you we had 3 yards to go for a CIF final and you had one shot, would you take it? Because I think you would. We felt comfortable because we ran that play earlier, but it just didn't happen. It happens.
Wow. Yeah, you can't fault him. I mean, you go for it there. I mean, and it comes up just inches short. Freddie, I imagine there was a huge Amat contingent out in Corona tonight. I mean, I know they're bummed out.
It was amazing. Their side was stacked an hour before kickoff. It was already full.
Wow.
Around the stadium, it was standing room only. I mean, the fences were like 2 or 3 people deep all around the stadium. Centennial brought a lot of people, too. I'm sitting here in the parking lot. It's going to take me a few minutes to get out, and I'm finishing up my story. I got to file this puppy. But
you're still there.
Atmosphere and everything.
You're still there, Freddie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to get out of this parking lot.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Yeah. Hey, Fred, what was the problem with as far as falling down in this game? I think I saw you say they were down 30-10 at one point before they stormed back with 2 touchdowns. What was it just that Corona Centennial offensive machine? I mean, I know they didn't have J.J. Taylor tonight, right?
Yeah, they didn't have J.J. Taylor tonight, but they couldn't do, the receiver that killed him was Javon McKinley.
Yeah.
And they couldn't match up with him at all. I mean, he finished with 11 receptions for 282 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was really their go-to guy. And even when you knew it was going to go to him, he was still catching the ball, and then great runs after the catch. I mean, he was a one-man show, and their running back that stepped in there at the very end, Monte, he did a good job, finished with about 140 yards, but he was the one who had the fumble to ice it with just over a minute to play. I thought Amat settled down, mid-third quarter, fourth quarter. I mean, it was a bend-don't-break. Early on it looked like Centennial was going to score at will, and they were able to slow him down, and then Amat was able to get his offense going. It was 2 very, very evenly matched teams. I mean, the score didn't surprise me, 38-37. It was that close. And you talk about a game of inches. That's what you had tonight.
Wow. All right, Freddie. Well, thanks for updating us, man. Get back to the Valley.
And let me give a shout-out to Los Santos. Congratulations, event championship. And Pomona. Pomona's going to be at Sierra Canyon next week. Los Santos will host if they can get the home game.
I mean, at Paraclete.
That's on Friday.
Yeah, Pomona will be at Paraclete, not Sierra Canyon.
I'm sorry,
It's going to be cold for them.
Yeah, we just had...
Darren.
What's that?
All right, now I'm out of here. I got to finish.
Okay, yeah, finish up your story. Thanks, Freddie. Okay, folks, that was Fred Robledo. With the update or with the info on what happened tonight with Bishop Amat's loss to Centennial. Yeah. Stevie, this is still an outstanding season by Amat. Yeah. I mean, they're tri-league champs in the Mission League.
They go further than any team in the league, which is always...
They go further than any team in the league, but better than that, I mean, this is their deepest run, I believe, since 95, right? Yeah, they hadn't been in a semifinal since...
No, 98.
Okay, 98.
Okay. So in 16 years, that's
still quite a bit of time. And, obviously, the win last week at J. Sarah, outstanding. The wins this year over Sarah and the other Mission League teams. The program, despite what I said earlier, I mean, there's no denying it now. I mean, a 1-point loss now to Centennial. I mean, granted, Centennial was an inland division team last year, but we all know that they're a juggernaut. I mean, that's one of the top 5 programs in SoCal now. Yeah. And Amat is back, being one of the premier programs in Southern California.
Yeah, I mean, and all these guys were their key players were basically juniors. So that the future, at least the 1-year future, looks pretty good for next year. I'm sure they're going to be able to make another run. And like coaches will tell you that each season is kind of different. They have to start all over and work, but they got to be pleased on when you look at the overall of them accomplishing something they haven't accomplished for quite some time.
Right. Okay, PrepXtra Live, the post-game show. Back to what I was saying about the game I was at tonight, which was Charter Oak's 35-26 loss to Colony in the semifinals of the Central Division. Like I said, 8 turnovers for Charter Oak, 5 in the first half. And despite the 5 turnovers, they still led 17-15 at halftime. They turned it over for a 6th time on their first drive of the second half. Okay, fine. This game was still close, and I had told some people that said, hey, we're winning and we've turned it over 5 times, and I said, I understand that, but you're not going to win this game after turning it over 5 times in one half. You've wasted opportunities to have a bigger lead, and that's the truth. That's what came up, and they had other opportunities in this game to build on that lead, and it didn't happen, and eventually Colony caught them, but still. Charter Oak, they led 22-7. They fell behind 22-17. They scored, made it 23-22. They added a field goal to make it 26-22, and then Colony got the ball back. And on a 3rd and 9, they ran a double reverse, threw the ball deep, got a deep completion. Then from there, they ran another trick play, got inside the Charter Oak 5. They scored a short touchdown run. I believe the kid's name was Kennard, a 2-yard touchdown run to go ahead in the game. Now, Charter Oak gets the ball back down 3. They drive to inside the Colony 40, and you think, okay, maybe Charter Oak's going to pull this out in the last couple minutes and get that game-winning touchdown. Doesn't happen. They're intercepted on an out route to the sideline. Khalil Dorsey's the kid's name for Colony. Steps in front of the receiver on the sideline, picks off a Cam Brown pass, takes it back 65 yards for a touchdown, and ultimately a 9-point lead. And Colony wins the game from there. 8 turnovers for Charter Oak. Yeah. You just can't do that in a semifinal game. They had chances to win still, but it's just not going to happen when you do that. And that's a tough way to see, the Chargers. You don't want that to happen. But Stevie, here's the other thing that I kind of I don't know I didn't like or I didn't think was right. I talked about this, all day, and, I know you kind of disagreed with it, on Twitter. In these semifinal games, you've got to come out a house of fire. You've got to come out, catch lightning in a bottle. You've got to take the situation by the horns and do what you can do. Colony clearly got that message. Colony ran a fake punt in the first half. Colony ran a fake 2-point conversion that worked out on a touchdown. Those points proved to be big. Colony broke out all the stops tonight, and then on that drive where they took that lead for good, they had the same thing. Trick play, 2 trick plays on the same drive, and that was taking the situation, by the horns. And Charter Oak played a great game tonight, and they were amped and all that stuff, but they weren't. I thought they'd come out at a fever pitch, like Lou Ferrar would just light into these guys. We're the underdog. This team's some big Inland Empire team, and they were. And all that stuff. And that wasn't really the approach for Charter Oak tonight. It was more of a business-like approach.
Okay.
And Colony, meanwhile, was letting it all hang out.
Well,
I mean, they were.
Well, I think from a coaching aspect, in these games, when you get to these semifinals or championship games at any level, you have to take chances. Like earlier in the year, you probably wouldn't take a lot of chances, but I go back to the Super Bowl where the Colts lost to the Saints when they had the onside kick. That was a bold move.
Right.
You have to make because the teams are so close.
Right.
So you have to try to win the game instead of trying not to lose it. And but at the same time, I still think you have to treat it like a normal game as a player. You can't get caught up. Oh, this is a semi, because then you're kind of lost.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what happened to Charter Oak with those turnovers. You were there, I wasn't, but.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, like I said, whether Charter Oak should have been out there running trick plays and hooting and hollering and going crazy, none of that really matters when you turn it over 8 times.
Yeah.
And that was their doing in. Just a lot of times tonight, it looked like the receivers and the QB weren't on the same page, and Charter Oak's mid-range passing game just was not there tonight. Eccles was bottled up for a lot of the night. Congratulations to Colony. They move on. They're going to play Los Altos in next week's Central Division Finals now. The game that Stevie was out at tonight, Lucerna was trying to punch its ticket to the Southeast Division Championship game for the 4th straight year, and they come up just short. Stevie, they show a lot of heart in this one, though.
Yeah, there was a point where they fell behind 21-7 and 28-14 early in the third quarter, and just the way the game, you just felt like Crescenta Valley was the better team. They were starting to seize control of the game, and then Lucerna looked like a team of destiny. They drive to a field goal to cut it to 28-17. Crescenta Valley tries, like you say, being bold. They try a double reverse pass, and Kevin Ramos, who's more known as a running, big time running back.
Oh, running back. Okay.
Yeah. He comes in and hits the receiver as he's going to throw the pass, and the ball gets intercepted about the I think it was about the 25-yard line, and then I think 2 plays later they score a touchdown on a 15-yard pass from Enrique Pacheco to Curtis Ashton. Okay, then the kickoff, and earlier in the game, Lucerna gave up like a 80-yard kick return, so they started kicking the ball short, and the receiver got it about the 20, and he got hit and fumbled. Lucerna got the ball at the 29, next play, touchdown, and they go up. Then in the fourth quarter, with about 9 minutes left, Crescenta Valley drove down and got I think about a 20-yard touchdown pass to go up 35-29, and Lucerna came right back, drove about 70 yards.
And they take the lead.
And they took the lead with about 6.5 left.
Wow, okay.
To go. They stopped them on 4 straight plays, got the ball back.
Wow.
With about 4.5 left, and were able to run the clock. I think they got 1 first down. They were able to run the clock to about just inside 3 minutes, and then Crescenta Valley drove 70 yards. Brian Gasby, their QB, their QB,
stud baseball player.
Yeah, he's thrown going into the game. He had thrown for 37 touchdowns, and he made some big passes for some big chunks of yardage. The last one down to the 1-yard line, then he sneaks in with about a minute left, and Lucerna gets the ball. They kick the ball out of bounds. So that's a big break for Lucerna to get the ball at the 35, but there were 3 incompletes and a sack, and that's all she wrote.
Okay, well, still, Lacerna, tough loss tonight, but you got to give this program credit. They were bidding for their 4th straight trip to the finals. That's outstanding. I think this is 5 straight trips to the semis or beyond now.
Yeah.
Excellent job. Nobody expected them to really get this far in the playoffs. They were a second-place team out of the Del Rio League this year. Great job by Coach Margarito Beltran and his staff. But Lacerna falls tonight 41-36 at Crescenta Valley. Crescenta Valley now 13-0, and they're going to the championship game to take on Downey, which beats Salesian, which was an at-large 4th-place team, the last team, if you can believe it or not, from the Angeles League, which is really impressive there. Elsewhere tonight, we should talk about Stevie's boys. Tough loss tonight. Yeah. Your boys, they led most of the game, and then what we'll be talking about here is Pericles' 15-12 win over Northview. Northview led this game for a large part. A long time, it was 12-7, and I guess Pericles scored, got the 2-point conversion, and were able to get out of town. Obviously, you weren't there, and I weren't there to know, but. Yeah. What a season by Marcel Perez's boys. I mean, this was the number 1 seed Pericles they played tonight. They took them to the brink, and they came up just short of getting to a title game.
You think to lose a game like that, you think if the game was that scoring, it would have kind of fit, fallen into the type of game that they would want to play. But that's a tough loss because, obviously they had a great year. Probably the best year in probably 30 years there.
Yeah.
I think Coach Perez said they went to the semis in '97, but just the way they, just the way they played this year, and some of those players are going to be back. I think Grojava is going to be back.
Comstock, obviously.
Yeah, Comstock.
He's got 3 more years. So. Congratulations to Northview. On the other side of the bracket, we should mention Pomona beat Sierra Canyon, the number 2 seed. Pomona is going to Paraclete to play for the Mid-Valley Division Championship.
Now, the district is going to allow that?
Yeah, the district will. I think in this case they'll make an exception and let the team travel to a far-out place. That'll be probably at Antelope Valley College to pay Paraclete for the championship of the division. What can you say about Pomona? Outstanding job by them. They've had a lot of adversity. They've been let down by adults quite a bit this season, and yet here they still are playing on and bidding for that first championship in school history. And not in school history, since 1952. Yeah. Go ahead, Stevie.
No, I thought I was looking in the record books earlier, and I thought they hadn't been there since the 20s, but if you say in 52.
I have it on my blog. The team looked like it was from the 20s. No, I think it said 1952 they were champions. But, history can get pretty fuzzy when it comes to it's not like college or pro where you got a good database.
Well, you have an SID to say we haven't done this in this amount of time, and
there used to be some guys around the valleys that were pretty good historians. Our own Jim McConnell was one of them, and he had contacts with a lot of guys from around the valley that were good historians that he could call and say, hey, you remember old Red White something, and that guy, right, and that was when Covina was a citrus patch or something like that. I mean, it was just awesome stuff. So, and unfortunately, and maybe this is our fault, we haven't done a good job of beating up those sources anymore.
I know Jim at one as part of our century type of when the century turned in 2000, part of our all century type of promotion that we did for this newspaper, he put together a record book, which was pretty impressive, and had guys like Steve Bogan in it, who was like most interceptions in the season, I think, or in a game. I can't remember what, but just stuff like that was always helpful. But we haven't gotten back to updating that and even keeping it. So
there will be another history, a chapter of history added next Saturday in these championship games. Los Altos going for the school's 12th CIF championship, first since 2003. Next week against Colony. Congratulations again to Los Altos.
Is that at home?
And to Pomona. It's at home. Dale Ziola came on the show tonight. You can watch the replay if you weren't able to hear his interview. He said he's not quite sure if they're going to play at home or move the game. We'll see what happens with that. But congratulations to Los Altos nonetheless. They move on, and Pomona. The rest, it was a great season. Getting to the semifinals is no joke. You had a heck of a year.
We still have Pasadena
Pauley will play tomorrow night against Napomo at 6 o'clock, so we'll see what happens there. But as far as the Bishop Amats, Bonitas, Charter Oaks, Lacernas, Northviews, congratulations, guys. You had a great, great season. Nothing to hang your hat about. What can you say? When it gets to the semifinals, anything can and will happen, and it did tonight. But for Los Altos and Pomona, congratulations, and we'll see what happens. Moving on, Stevie, I don't want to keep anyone any longer because in about 9.5 hours, the Buckeyes play Michigan in the best rivalry in college football.
That's a big.
Don't come at me with that Auburn-Alabama stuff.
Well, after what I saw UCLA and Egg today, and I was there in person.
Yeah, well, long day for you, buddy.
Yeah. Well,
anyways, fans, thanks for joining us. Get on the blogs. Let us know what you thought about everything. Be looking for the replay of the show because, again, Del Ziola, the head coach at Los Altos, came on, gave us his thoughts after the big win tonight over Bonita to send Los Altos to the championship game next week. For Steve Ramirez, Fred Robledo, and Coach Ziola, thanks for watching. Get on the blogs. Let us know what you think, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.